Now, Hillary Clinton making a surprise appearance at the Tribeca Film Festival that had a lot of people talking. And right now there's an appearance that we're tracking out in Chicago with President Obama, his first since leaving office. He's at the University of Chicago. As you see him there involved in a quote-unquote conversation. We'll be monitoring that throughout the program today and bringing any newsworthy headlines from the former president. It all comes as a new poll shows 67% of voters think the Democratic Party is out of touch with Americans' concerns. That's a big jump from 48% who said the same thing 3 years ago. It all comes as a new book has hit the shelves and has a lot of people talking. Shattered: Inside Hillary Clinton's Doomed Campaign. And one of the authors of that book, Amie Parnes, joins us right now. It's good to see you again, Amy. The idea that the Democrats are a party that, people think is out of touch is kind of interesting, I think. I mean, that you talk to so many people surrounding Hillary Clinton's campaign. Do they feel that? I mean, do they feel like, hey, it was our own fault, we had a flawed candidate, we didn't execute, or are they blaming other people for the way things went?
I think a lot of people are kind of thinking they had a flawed candidate. Of course, Secretary Clinton was able to capture 3 million of the popular vote, but she also wasn't able to bring home a lot of the Bernie supporters. And my co-author and I talked to some of those people who felt like she never really spoke for them and they couldn't relate to her, and some of them voted for her reluctantly. But didn't really support her out wholeheartedly. So I think we're seeing a lot of that in this recent poll.
To that point about couldn't relate, I think it's interesting. I've just started reading the book, so I don't think I'm far enough in to know the conclusions that are made. But there's one thing in your introduction to your book that really kind of struck me, because you talked about the title, which is Shattered, and you said that people who don't like Hillary Clinton may come away with some sense of sympathy. They may feel that she's a sympathetic figure. Those that do like her will feel shattered, which is the title of the book. But why would someone who doesn't like Hillary Clinton come away from reading about this and this shattered campaign looking at her sympathetic?
I think on a human level, you see her sort of, especially the night of, here was a moment that she thought would go the other way. And as my co-author and I detail in this book, she basically had to make this call to come to terms with it. And even just on a human level, I think people can relate to that feeling of, she had to basically say what she never thought she would say. Congratulations, Donald, right, in this final, this final scene in our book. So I think you need to sort of read between the lines a little bit, and I think this book has something for everyone, and I think that's why it's making waves like it has. Yeah, no, I saw,
it certainly is making waves, and some of that is that famous phone call that you mentioned. Some of it is comments, say, about the former Vice President, Joe Biden, which are interesting. I mean, we put a poll up before that if there was a hypothetical rematch between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, that Mr. Trump would win again. There it is, 43-40. I don't know what that tells you, but maybe one thing it is that if somebody else ran instead of her, they might have had a better chance. Did you find that that would be true in your reporting, whether it's Biden or anyone else?
There are a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters who still, in fact, won this morning. I got an email from someone saying, I still think we could have won had it been Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. And this person pointed to what's going on in France, actually, and said these two outside candidates are the leading contenders. And that would have been really interesting had it played out here, had it been a Sanders-Trump race. So I think a lot of people are still feeling that way, particularly as they look around and see other elections in other countries.
That is interesting, because I don't think as much about Bernie Sanders, even though he was her main opponent in this, as I do about Vice President Biden.
Right, and here was a guy who really, as we detail in the book, was kind of put off by the fact, he had to deal with the tragic death of his son and then make a decision, and kind of felt like he was boxed in and cornered in at the very end by the Clinton folks, and that he wasn't able to he wasn't given the breathing room he needed to make a decision on his own time. He really felt that clock ticking.
By the Clinton campaign folks putting pressure on him.
Right, exactly.
And he regrets it, doesn't he, big time?
I think he does, and I think that's why you've seen kind of little rumblings of him considering whether or not to run in 2020, and he had to downplay it a little bit. But I think it's always kind of on his mind or in the back of his mind.
He might actually do that, or she might actually do that? I mean, they're both into their 70s. Do you think either Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden might run for president next time around?
I don't think Secretary Clinton is going to run. As we detail in the book, she basically says, this is my last race. This is up to someone else to make the case going forward. I wonder about Vice President Biden, the former Vice President Biden, and whether or not he will run.
Finally, just real quick because we have to go, the former president speaking right now out in Chicago. What is their relationship like?
The relationship between
Hillary
Secretary Clinton?
Yeah, and
I think they really respect one another, and I think they continue to talk. I think there was some sense of, as we report in the book, President Obama and his team were kind of pushing her to exit the race very quickly and concede very smoothly that night. So I think there was a little bit of tension there, but I think they continue having a strong relationship.
Okay. I won't say good luck with the book because it's doing great. You don't need that. But I will say thanks for coming on. It's good to see you, Amie.